All right, Luca Nation, we want to welcome you guys back, ladies and gentlemen, to your fractional episode sponsored by Collectable. And the last few weeks, we've been doing a ton of memorabilia, a ton of vintage, all that stuff. I thought this week it would be a great exercise, given kind of where we are in the cycle of sports, to talk a little bit about, who's trending up, who's trending down. A little bit more performance based, a little bit more modern focused, because NBA is coming up. NFL's at a really cool spot where I don't think we've seen this in a long time, where there's a lot of really, really promising young quarterbacks. And week to week, we're not really sure which horse is the best horse in the race. And that's kind of exciting, from Mahomes to Herbert to Kyler to Lamar, and just all the way down the list. I'm sure, Dak, Mac Jones, Burrow. Even Lawrence. There's an incredible young crop of fields of young quarterbacks. Rodgers, I could keep going all day. And I think that would be a fun episode. All right, Cage? So man. We get into it, all right?
Yeah. There's young quarterbacks. Are there a lot of young quarterbacks on Collectable? There are a lot of young quarterbacks like being traded on Collectable besides Mahomes. There's not much, there's not much of their stuff on here though, right?
A decent amount.
All right, cool. I can't wait to look at it. This is good, man, because I like this. This will be an educational episode for me because I don't really have much in these quarterbacks. I've never really, I never got on Brady, obviously not a young quarterback, but I never really jumped on like the hot QB. I never really jumped on Baker Mayfield when he was the hot QB. I had a couple Josh Allens, and I don't want to tell you what I sold my Josh Allen Prism PSA 10s for. Never really got on Kyler Murray. Like I haven't really jumped on the bandwagon of any of these guys. So yeah, this will be fun for me. It's not something I have too much, of a personal collection on.
I think also like let me start with one guy, and I'll explain because I do think all this is interconnected. Zion, right? I think Zion's stock is a huge sell right now. Okay, and there's a few reasons. I think his season is shot just right off the bat, Cage. Have you seen
really?
Yeah, I think his season's shot. And I think what's interesting, not just that a season shot, there's so much money tied up in really high value Zion cards that there will be a sell-off, right? Because people need to use that money to invest in other things. Why I bring up these young quarterbacks is if you have money in Herbert, right, you've profited. You're selling off at a point. You're going to reinvest into NBA. You're going to put that money back into something. And I have guys that I think are really promising, like Curry, Booker, and Tatum. And I have guys that I'm selling, and I'm selling really, really heavy. And Zion is top of that list, Cage. I would be worried if I was a Zion holder. And I would say this might be one of the last weeks, maybe last few days, where you get an opportunity to cash out, because I think he's going to come back from his injury, but he's already looks out of shape. Okay, he already looks really heavy. And that team's not going to be very good, and I don't think they're going to risk it. And I see him kind of being in and out of the roster all year. So that's one guy I wanted to kind of sound the alarm.
It's pretty crazy. It's funny that it's an eye-opening thing. I think you're probably right. And he, whether he comes out and lights it up or not, I think that the odds are stacked against him. And one of the things we talk about in our shows is momentum, right? Momentum of these players, right? And how hard it is when you lose that momentum to get it back. One of the guys we will probably talk about today is Patrick Mahomes. Going to be hard not to. There's a lot of offerings of his out there. And when we talk about momentum, we've always said that Mahomes was a guy who was like immune to it. Came in the league, won an MVP, won a Super Bowl, got to another Super Bowl, has not had any real adversity. Looks like he's as sure a thing as to be the next great player. Everybody's got money tied up in him, but anybody who invested in him, has rode that momentum all the way up. But there have been no hiccups. There have been no issues with him, right? Zion, people have as much, if not more money tied into Zion as they do as Mahomes. Some of his high-end stuff is real big money. And, it's crazy to think about it because he really hasn't done much. He hasn't played full seasons. He was okay last year. His rookie season, he came in half of it and didn't win the Rookie of the Year because he just didn't play enough, right? And now he's going to start the season. Who knows? There's no timetable for his return, the last news that I saw. You like to talk about how he's large, and not in a bad way. When you have broken bones on your lower part of your body, they're going to have extra stress put on them. And I
Right,
think
and
what
think
you're
about
trying
this. You need to exercise to even stay in shape, right? To stay
Yep.
lean. How can he how can he exercise if he has a broken foot? And he already
Yeah.
had a propensity to be heavier. And I say this for a reason, Cage. So we have a responsibility to bring people value, right? With our show, we talk about value. Well, it's going to be really difficult. It's going to be really difficult to get out of a Zion card later in the season on collectible, right? You've seen that. You have to really, really drop your ask.
Yep.
And I don't want our listeners to be in that predicament. So if I was holding money in Zion, I would either cut my losses, or if you're sitting on a little bit of profit, I would and have it on the sideline, because I think there's way better opportunities where you could put it. And I'll bring you some of those today with guys who could have a breakout year, who are healthy, who are entering the prime of their career, where your risk to reward ratio is much better. And you could always rebuy into Zion at a later date, because between now and, let's say, January, February, even next season, what's going to change? This Pelicans team doesn't have a bright future. He's injured. They're not going to risk it. So that's when I wanted to sound the alarm off, right? It's not just enough to know when you need to, what investment to buy. It's also, how do you get your cash flow out, right? How do you get your money back and use it differently? So that one was right off the bat, performance-based, modern, short-term. I wanted to bring to your attention.
It's a shame too, because he hasn't, because he's injured, he's not going to have the run up that all the other basketball players are going to have. You know what I mean? So that's, I mean, listen, here's the deal. Zion could be a generational talent. Zion could be very, very good. Zion could be awesome. He could be the next great thing. I think what you're trying to say is that this year, the odds are against him doing anything fantastic right now. And it's difficult to in a much less liquid market, it's difficult to pull your money out of this, especially when there are more than a few people also running for the hills, looking to move their money out of that Zion play. And we've seen, other basketball players, the hot names move up, whereas Zion has steadily decreased. That national treasure has steadily decreased for the last couple of weeks, and again last week. So
and imagine if around January time you hear he's out for the remainder of the season. There's going to be as they call, run on the banks. And guys, this is why we do work very hard. I know we're jokesters, we banter, we curse, we laugh, we make stupid comments, but we do work really hard to bring you value. And this is a play where, listening to our show today and you take action, it's an opportunity where, let's say you have 5 shares of Zion National Treasures, you sell off, you listen to some of the plays we have for you today, and next July, when he's healthier and going into next season, you're able to buy 10 of those shares, 20 of those shares. So I'm not saying get off Zion forever. I'm saying 6 months down the road, 7 months down the road, there's going to be better opportunities. And I'll say short term, I have an amazing play for you guys. And this one fits 2 criteria. When it fits these 2 criteria, it's dangerous. So number one is when I believe in the player. I think he's better than expectations. And that's Mr. Steph Curry. Absolutely went off in the preseason. But that's not why I'm excited. Did you see his build, Cage?
Yeah, he got a little thicker.
He got a little stronger. He got a little bit bigger, and that's huge for Curry. He's always been a little bit scrawny. It's going to be better on defense, better on offense, and I expect a lot out of this team. And here's the even better part, Cage. Curry had 2 cards on collectible until one thing happened. One was exited. So now what does that mean? There's Cage's favorite thing, 1 rookie card. So when Curry has a 60-point game and everyone can't buy his national treasures, what are they going to do? They're going to look at collectible. They're going to look at these fractional sites, and they have one option. And I want you guys to be holding the shares of that card.
Yeah, I gave that play, I think 2 weeks ago. You could pull the card up if you like. It's just a gorgeous card. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous card. Yeah, I mean, listen, this is what fractional.
I mean, it's a look at the patch too. I think this is one of the nicest cards.
This is the kind of card fractional is made for. It's a card that very few people will ever be able to own. It's a card that's nearly $500,000 in value. It's a card that has been pretty flat for a little while here. You can see from the chart. And if he comes out and does what you think he's going to do, the share prices of this, it will definitely go up, because you're right. I mean, if you want to get into one of the best Curry cards out there, that is the card. Can I swing it a different way for you?
Yeah.
You ready? Yeah.
Luka Nation, I'll put my head on the line. In Russian, we say that, like, голову на отрез, because we used to guillotine people back in Russia. That's how. So, голову на отрез. That card gets a buyout offer this year. this season. That card gets rejected by the holders too.
So I can tell when you love your play, but I'm going to give you a play that you might love even more because it's a player you might love even more.
I would buy a Cage rookie card. The only thing I like more than my play is Allen and Ginter Cage rookie card with a diet soda and a Chick-fil-A sandwich and a waffle fry.
Who beat Steph in the MVP race last year?
Jokic.
Now that's what we're talking about. Your favorite guy. Let's pull up the Jokic, right? Let's pull up the Joker card that's on here.
Jokic and let's talk about guy.
Let's talk about how you think this guy is completely and totally underrated. How
he wobbled like a penguin. Centers.
Yeah, but you love him. MVP, one of the best players in the league, and going to check a lot of boxes, right? So there is the 15-16 Prisms Power Rookie BGS 9.5. Great is the grade.
I hate these cards, Cage. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know why you think I would like this.
It is a 1-of-1 auto of Joker. 1-of-1 rookie.
It looks like a Joker made the card.
True 1-of-1 auto. But here's the fun. You want to talk about a card that's potentially a buyout? It's got a market cap of $17,250 for a 1-of-1 rookie auto of the Joker. Right down this week. Right, it's down 25% from its IPO, and down for I don't know why. Maybe people are exiting this. Maybe they don't.
I thought I was sharing the screen. I'm sorry, guys.
But think about this: if you were to
you gotta let me know that kind of stuff, Cage. Right? Like, hey, you're not sharing the screen.
Oh, I didn't know you were trying to.
Do you dance? Do you ever dance like tango? You know how you have to lead. You know how I always lead you and play with Cage. You got to lead.
I'm more of a cash guy than a tango. But if you click on the 1 week chart on this one, what's amazing about it is 1 week chart, $9.50. Down
perfect for BGS 9.5.
Down to $7.50, down 26.7% this week. People exited this card, right? So this is a card that IPO'd, started trading in secondary market. It was a 23,000 market cap at the IPO and is now down to 17,250. If you are a believer in Joker, which you are, you have an opportunity to grab a true 1-of-1 rookie auto of the current reigning MVP, and it's $17,000. I mean, they're 1-of-1s that checks a million boxes. I got a lot of plays, but when you start talking about Steph Curry, you start talking about guys who are potential buyouts. I know how you feel about this guy. Now, is it a card that you normally would find as a one of is it Prism? No, it's not Prism. They call it Prism. It's a Select brand, but everybody loves Select. It's an odd looking card. I got to tell you that. But really, the boxes that it checks are 1-of-1 autograph Joker with a market cap of only $17,000. It's an interesting one for a potential buyout. What do you got next?
Let's keep rocking. Mahomes. I would say I'm putting him in the Zion bucket. People aren't panicking. I would panic. They look bad. They're making bad decisions. His luck's running out. And I don't like the word demeanor, right? Like it's hard to explain what that means, but like when you see it, you know it. Mm-hmm. They look very undisciplined, right? Like they look. I don't like. It's hard to explain, but I think you know what we're seeing, and I'm not. They're getting by the skin of their teeth versus very, very bad teams, and that's not going to fly later in the season. It really is not. They have a tough conference. None of these games versus the Broncos, the Raiders, or the Chargers are going to be cakewalks, and they have to play those teams 5 more times. I would be worried if I'm holding Mahomes. Not to mention the run-up on his cards are so much that anything that even is like a crack in the ice.
Yep.
So yeah, that's where I'm at. And what happens just last when there is this lack of discipline, right? You saw it today with Cleveland, actually. 2 times a defensive end comes around the outside and decks Baker. That's lack of discipline, right? Yep. 1 hit and Mahomes is out for the year, and there's big money in his cards. I would be worried.
I don't think he has to be out for the year. I think we're seeing enough where exactly what you talked about with Zion for people exiting and kind of running for the exits. people came into this thinking that Vegas had it. It was going to be Chiefs Bucks again in the Super Bowl, and it might get there, right? But it's going to be a rockier path for the Chiefs. Look, they ended up winning today. They ended up, covering. They ended up, taking care of business. But the team doesn't look the same. You want to say maybe Mahomes might not be 100% because he doesn't look like he has the same step. He doesn't have the same swagger. They're not making the right decisions. It looks like, he's trying to force it. And when he forced it, he's already got more interceptions this year than he had all of last year. He had a couple again
scenario
today.
Out though, Cade. Even if it is Chiefs Bucks, I'm not sure his cards are any higher than they are right now.
Well, I think they're going to go down. That's what I'm trying to say to people.
But best case scenario, Chiefs Bucks in the Super Bowl, like you just said, maybe his cards are 10% higher.
Yeah, maybe. If he wins the Super Bowl, I think they move up just because they haven't really gone up at all. But that's it.
They haven't gone up.
It's priced for perfection right now. Yeah, they haven't gone up in the last couple of months. There wasn't a huge run up into the season. If you look at collectible stats on him, the last 5 or 6 weeks they've kind of run down. Leading into the season, they were there was a little bit of a run up there. But, the last couple of weeks of trading, because he hasn't looked so good, they've been flat to slightly down. All the cards, the Flawless, the National Treasures, people realize it. But I think if you look at them today, even with a win, this might be your last week to kind of, like you said with Zion, kind of exit on these things. That's what I would be telling people to do on these, just like you did with Zion, because you're right. I mean, even if it starts to break correctly for them, the cards are still priced really high. People have a lot of money in a lot of these cards. And this is the first time that we're seeing a loss of momentum by Mahomes and for his cards, right? And I like to say this: when the going's good, everybody's happy. Whether it's in the world of NFTs, the world of cards, you name it. When everybody's making money, we're a happy community, right? We're all making money. We're all great. This is the best place to be. But when something happens, when you have that first, somebody punches you in the face, right? You take that first punch in the face. That's when people start to actually act. That's when people start to, wow, we have to run for the door. And then it's a race. Then it's, people bumping into each other to get to the door. It's, it's an interesting thing when it actually happens that way.
And watch what happens. So what's a safer investment, Brady or Mahomes?
Brady, definitely.
Brady. His legacy side. How many Brady cards do you think are on Collectable?
There's a few. All right.
There's 4 and one I believe was exited. How many Mahomes cards do you think?
Oh, there's quite a few. I looked them up myself, right?
6 and 1 exited. So think about that, guys. I already made it clear. There's 1 Curry card to invest in on Collectable. 4 Brady's, 6 Mahomes. Which of those guys? Easily Mahomes is the riskiest out of all 3 of those guys. Yet he has the most cards. I would be extremely worried. There's so much money in Mahomes cards. I would say I didn't do the math. You guys can do it. But if you add up the market cap of all the Mahomes cards, it's probably double what Brady's market cap is. I can't even compare it to Curry's. He has 1. So it's I would be a little bit worried with that one.
Can you do me a favor? Can you pull up a card for us? Can you pull up the Michael Jordan Exquisite collection numbers card?
Amazing.
The BGS 8 is what it is, right? So just take a look at it for me, okay? Can you pull that one up? And what you're going to see on this one, guys? It's a BGS.
Isn't it hilarious, Cage, that Exquisite, like, it's such a good name, but it wasn't even supposed to be Exquisite. Like, that was like their backup name.
Yeah, it was. It's amazing when you talk to Carvin to get the backstory on these things. But take a look at this card, right? Pretty flat. Take a look at the picture of it. Let's get a nice little view of it. Really nice. Card's numbered out of 23. BGS 8. Right.
What's funny, Cage?
Yeah, shoot.
When I came into the hobby, I heard horizontal cards are like frowned upon or a little bit less valued. Some of the most beautiful cards are horizontal cards.
So this has a really nice patch, right? Red, black, white. It's got the Chicago colors. Nice autograph by Jordan on it. BGS 8. When this IPO'd, it IPO'd with a value of $78.5. Okay, it's been down and basically flat over time, but it currently has a market share of $49,063. It's down 37.5%, down to $6.25 a share. You guys will get the benefit of listening to our show. We hope you listen to this. We hope you're one of the first people to listen to this, because now with Collectable, starting a week ago, now has full Wall Street hours, 9:30 to 4. This card is going to be bid up tomorrow, and here's why. You probably can't do this. I know you're a wizard with the computer, but if you were able to pull up Golden's current auction that still has a week on it, okay, you'll see this exact card, also numbered to 23, this exact card, also in a BGS 8. Okay, so you pull up Golden Auctions and you just, there you go, final week to bid. It's got 6 days left in the auction, and you put in the auction Jordan Exquisite. This same card will come up, and also BGS 8. Do you want to take a guess as you're looking what that card is bid at right now? There it is. Exquisite.
Where do you see it? Where do you see it, Cage?
No, I don't. Not that one. Not that one.
There it
is.
Right
there. Yeah, right there. Right below.
66,000.
So it's a 66 plus buyer's premium, which magically $78,000. Exactly what the one on Collectable IPO'd at, right? And that's if this card doesn't get another bid. Currently, on Collectable, the card is sitting at $49,000, 37% below what it IPO'd at, and 37% what the golden one is selling for with a week left. And I would argue that the patch on the one in Collectable is actually a nicer patch. Both the 2 and the 3 have 3 colors. It's got the red, white, and black. So this one has red, white, and black on the 2, but only white and black on the 3. Both nice cards, both nice autographs. It's very rare, especially out of 23, that you get as identical as these two are. 25 off 14, identical. These are identical cards. You're seeing an actual comp right now in the same grade, BGS 8, numbered out of 23, and the one on Collectable is 37% below what Golden's trading at now, even if it doesn't get another bid. That's a card that if you're able to get in quick on Monday, you're going to see it rise. I think, not financial advice.
Giannis has a jump shot. He found it.
Did you see how he started the game? He opened up and he pulled up for 3 just to start the game up. That's great. If he's going to bring the ball up and he's going to do that, that takes a whole nother level to that game. I'll watch that. That's fun.
That is my last and final play. So sell Zion, sell Mahomes, buy on a Curry, and buy on Giannis. I think Giannis is poised for a really, really incredible season. He might not win MVP. He already has 2 of those. He has a Defensive Player of the Year. But I think you're going to see a season where he kind of takes that next step. And I think this happened with Jordan, where he learns how to win versus just put up numbers, right? I mean, he won a championship. But, really, how there was this time in, the mid-'90s where you could just tell he was kind of above – he was a master of his craft.
Yep.
I believe that you're going to see that from Giannis this year, right? He's got an all-around game, a complete game. And I think as we're talking about LeBron, Durant, all these other players, I think this guy's been in the gym. I think this guy his head's in the right place. He's focused. And I think all things align for him having a huge season. And it's funny, I'm sitting here thinking, what is even a huge season? But I think we're going to find out. I think it's going to be a season for the ages.
So which one? Is it the gold that you're recommending or just any Giannis cards out there?
There's not I would go with the National Treasures, but I hate National Treasures. So let me check. I think it's actually Rips' gold was on here, or maybe Rips. Did you know that Rips is going to auction off or IPO?
No, this is no, this is one of the ones that's it's an RPA, gold RPA, 13-14 of Giannis. That's on Collectable. That's the one that I was looking at, but it wouldn't be my play per se. But it was.
Would you go National Treasure or Immaculate?
I like the Immaculate.
Is Immaculate game worn?
I think on this one it is. I mean, it's 13-14. I think they were doing game worn back. You could take a look at the card.
So yeah, I'll pull it up for you guys.
Yep. And
then I want to talk about one more thing. Do you have any more plays, Cage?
Yeah, I got 2.
Jesus.
I got 2. That's a nice card, right? With the BGS 10 auto.
Event worn.
Oh, that's no good. Yeah, look, event worn. That's it. Nice card, though, right?
I'll promise you guys, if I ever own a card making company, my stuff will be game worn.
So let me do one real quick, and then you can make a point, and then I'll give my last. So 2 things. Neither of them are cards I want you to get into, but you can pull up. Do me a favor. Type in Babe Ruth, right? Because this was Babe Ruth. This was one of the huge talked about collectible offerings. Remember the Babe Ruth Baltimore 1914 card? Was all over the place. They were only offering 1%. You remember that card? They offered it at $3 a share. Well, it finally this past week came up for secondary offering. right? And it went from
that was my final topic, Cage. I wanted you to talk about how the market cap is now $12 million.
$12 million. I mean, it's an amazing thing.
I'm gonna call bullshit, but that's just on me, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens when it's not a hugely liquid market, right? There's not that much being traded. You can definitely, I don't want to call it manipulate it, but it's interesting to see that this is a thing that was, available at $3 a share, and now it's more than doubled. It's up to $6.45 a share, bringing the market cap on the card over $12 million. So go ahead. What do you think?
I don't think this is a true comp. I don't think you could say that this is a $13 million card.
Well, it's not.
But here's the kicker. You can't say that it's not a $13 million card too. We don't know the true price because 99% is retained by the owner. So this market cap is just math where you derive how many people are invested on Collectable multiplied by their share price, and you get the 12.9 million. But when 99% of it is still in the owner's possession.
Well, what's 1% of $6 million?
66,000. 60,000.
Right? So I guess what you're saying is because of the illiquid market, because of the fact there's only 1% of it out there, someone who owns the other 99% could feasibly, if they wanted to, spend a couple $1,000s and buy shares of it in the open market.
I didn't say that. That someone could say that, but I did not say that. So all I said was the 12.9 million is math derived, and that's not a true comp. I don't know how it got to that number.
It's because it's basically what they're saying is if 1% of it is worth $120,000 worth of tradable assets, you multiply that out by 100, and it's worth $12 million. I think you're right. It's calculating a market cap. I don't think that is in any way going to be taken as a comp for the card. I think some people would say that it's high. I think some people would say it's accurate. I think some people might say that it's low. So, but yes, I understand what you're saying. People should realize that when you're looking at market cap on a card, realize what is retained and what is not. And that one has 99% retained. So the math's a little different. Can I give you one more to pull up for me?
Sure, but real quick, I don't know why people care so. Well, let me rephrase it. Let me ask you a question. Why do people care so much about comps? Right? Because what I'm sitting here thinking as an investor, okay, I have all this information. I look at, I'm analyzing where I put my money. Like, I'm not putting my money there right now because that's double the price of what it just was. But people get all up in arms over like true comp or not.
Right.
Why does it matter?
Well, because it's trying to show what the value is. It's trying to show what the thing is worth. It's trying to show, what the card. It depends. If it's really rare, you're not going to have comps on it anyway. I mean, what's the comp on one-of-one cards? What's the comp on, cards that there's only 3 of that haven't sold for 5 years?
So did you ever see the Banksy painting that was up in auction like a few years ago? And as soon as someone bought it for $1 million,
it just resold.
And it shredded. And it got shredded, right? And then it resold this weekend for like $25 million. Mm-hmm. What is the comp on that?
Well, those are one-of-one pieces of art. They're not really comps. There's values. People have values. People would use a different Banksy or another, something like that. But even something like that, because of the story, because of what's going on with it, obviously it's, it's got a different, different scenario, right? I mean, that's got, different valuation to it. Some people will pay more because of the story.
Oh, right. My point exactly. So what is the comp for that, right? Like
there is no comp. There's no comp. One-on-one things don't have comps usually.
But Cage, when that happened, there was actually discussion of like, is this painting ruined? Right? Some people thought the comp might be 0. Yeah. But actually, the comp became 20 million. Let's use that in this scenario. I think that this comp at 12.9 is super off. But what if tomorrow someone comes in and says, "I'll offer you 15 for it"?
Exactly. But that's the thing, right? With things that are rare, where they're, somebody could come in and say, "I love this card. I want to pay $20 million for it." When there are none available for people, this is what Fractional is all about, right? I mean, you should have cards in there that are not something that you're going to find on eBay. Which is why I love your Curry, right? You may see one of those come up for auction. It's a $500,000 card. It's something that's made for Fractional. I'd like to talk about a card that's not made for Fractional. Can you pull up the Tiger Woods SP Authentic BGS 9.5 for me?
Sure.
Right. So one of the things I'm going to mention to everybody before we let everyone go is I'm not a fan of BGS cards for long-term investment. All right. I know you don't love BGS, but what I noticed is whether it's vintage Beckett cards, whether it's recent Beckett cards, whatever it may be, Beckett cards, they're not holding their value compared to PSA cards. So what is this numbered out of? 900, right?
It's just a good
That's
looking card, man.
gorgeous card, right? I mean, just a really nice card. I mean, everything from Ozzie Smith down to this to all the other ones that are BGS. The value is just going down on the BGS ones. But here's a fun one on this one. I did a little research on this, right? So it has steadily gone down from $8.75 per share to $7.25 per share week over week, right? And the market cap is down significantly from where it IPO'd. If you scroll down, you look at that IPO there, right? And now it's at 26.1. I am not giving you this card as one to buy. There are 900 of these, right? And recently, at the end of September, a PSA 9 of the same card with a 10 auto. So a PSA 9 with a 10. Not a BGS 9.5, but it's something I consider comparable, right? I mean, a BGS 9.5 might wind up being a PSA 9. But a PSA 9 of this sold for $13,700 on September 22nd. You can check it. It's on eBay. This one, even as it has continued to come down in price, is still at 26,000 market cap, almost double what that PSA 9 sold at. When you see those type of comps out there, this is what I'm mentioning to you as one that I think, even though it has come down, you're going to continue to see it come down. This is a card that people seem to be exiting on, and the BGS 9.5s just don't carry the way that a PSA 10 would. So it's a little, I looked at that one. I tried to look at comps. When you're talking about, it's a great lead-in for this as opposed to your Babe Ruth, because one of the things that makes that Babe Ruth special, and one of the things that makes even your Steph Curry special, or a lot of these cards, is that there are no recent sales, right? That Babe Ruth card, none of them are sold in like forever, and one may not sell again unless somebody buys this one out, right? So there are no comps, whereas, and that's what Fractional is perfect for, right? These priceless items, these things that people can't own if not for Fractional. This BGS 9.5 auto out of 900 of Tiger Woods, one sells every month, if not more, in various grades on eBay, on PWCC, you name it, and you get to see what those comps are, legit comps. Some people would argue a PSA 9 to BGS 9.5 is not the greatest comp, but the PSA 9 sold for half, right? So that should tell you pretty much all you need to know about the valuation that's being put on this one, even though it's come down. I think it continues to come down. And it's less about that card. It's more about, guys, do your own research on this stuff. We'll bring you what we see. But before you dive in or before you stay in one of these assets, look what's available to you out there. You can always reach out to us, and we can kind of talk to you about it as well. But this was not a difficult thing to look for, especially a card like that with this 900 of them, right? You look up the comps. You look up what's out there. We talked about the Exquisite one with Jordan. No, that's a pretty low number card, but it just so happens that there's one out there selling right now, which gives you a pretty equivalent comp. Do that kind of stuff, because I think that's where there's some alpha. That's where there's some money to be made here.
Curry.
Anything else? Curry's
a buy. Giannis is a buy. Zion's a sell. Mahomes is a sell. In my humble opinion. Talk a little bit about the Babe Ruth card. Let's talk a little bit about Tiger. I'll be in New York this week, guys. So Thursday, if you're going to be at Bleecker, I'm going to be there. I'm pretty sure the big Baba Ganoush might stop by. Thursday, Bleecker, 6 to 9 p.m. trade night. I'll hope to see you there. I wanted to share something, guys. I'm not going to do it justice, so I'm not going to tell you what I've learned from it. I'm just going to tell you to go and do your own homework. So something I think is hugely beneficial is learning kind of the history of money. How do we even value things, We always say, like, that's tangible or that's intangible. Just the value of things. How do we value stuff? How does money work? There's a great conversation, Tom Bilyeu and Robert Breedlove, okay? Tom Bilyeu, Robert Breedlove. And it talks all about the history of money. And I think if you're into the space like collecting, right, what are we doing? We're just transferring value, We're moving our US dollars to something that we think is scarce that will preserve our value.
You're muted.
I think that episode is a must. It's an hour long. It's such valuable homework, and I think you're going to
muted again.
A really different person. So I'll leave you with that. Cage, any final words? I'll go through some of these numbers real quick. All right. So indices were pretty flat this week.
Mm-hmm.
some memorabilia that was exciting, that was kind of double-digit returns. We had the Koufax game used jersey up 10%. Emmitt Smith 10K rushing uniform, that's kind of cool, up 17% this week. We
A
had
couple
the
of those
Will,
things were down and they moved up, so that was
Yep.
pretty nice to see.
Will high school uniform up 13.3%, and then the MJ game used baseball bat, game used and signed. I apologize, 23%, up 23%. What do we got this week? IPOs. We got Chris Bosh game used sneakers fully funded. The Dynasty bench fully funded. The Jackie Robinson 1948 Leaf.
Great eye appeal.
Great eye appeal. How do you know all this stuff? You do your homework?
That one I saw a great post by Collectable on where they gave 4 different Jackie Robinson Leaf cards and they didn't show the grades. And they said, which one would you prefer? And the vast majority of people picking based on the eye appeal picked this card that's available at Collectable, even though it was only a 3.5 and there were some 4s, some 5s, there was a 4.5. I think it might have been the lowest graded one, but like 85 or 90% of people selected this card as the one they would buy. And, you ended off with buy the card, not the grade, right? I mean, this one has some great eye appeal. And that's probably why it funded pretty quickly. But it was a good post by Collectable.
Ronaldo, his Prism 1/1 still has some room. Eddie Plank as well, because no one knows who Eddie Plank is. But eventually that's going to be funded. Just because things fund slowly doesn't mean it's a bad investment, actually.
That's right.
We're in such a fast culture where, like, if this mint doesn't sell out right away, it's not a good NFT. But hey, some of the best NFTs were slow mints like Bored Ape. Anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Any final words before we wrap?
No, this is fun. It has become one of my favorite episodes. I love doing the research on this stuff. I love finding these little diamonds for you guys. We hope you enjoy it. We hope you get some value out of these episodes and you're able to trade based on the information that we're putting out there. It really is a lot of fun. And be careful because, with people who are playing, the stuff can swing. The stuff can swing pretty quickly, right? There's some Herbert stuff trading on there, and he was riding high, and he did not look good today. That team did not look good. So I'm not telling you to dump you Justin Herbert. Just, it's fun. While you're putting this money on there and you're investing, especially in modern stuff, make sure you watch the games because stuff can change pretty quickly.
You're the man cage.